preceded them. Mani was an Al-Khazai, Suba of the marshes person, a bathing sort of person. The Manichaeans gave up bathing, just like the Muslims did for purification, but otherwise they're basically the same. And he would have gotten some of this material from, as it passed down through these different groups on into the Arabian Peninsula. Plus the Jews he met and the Christians he met in the Arabian Peninsula were not Orthodox Christians. They were sectarians. Some of these materials, in somewhat garbled form, probably got down into teaching sessions that he underwent there, but certainly the Day of Judgment is strong here, strong in the Quran. You can read the Quran. Who can describe what the Day of Judgment is? The Day of Judgment is like 1,000 nights. The Day of Judgment is blah, 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 blah. I mean, there's surah after surah after surah about the Day of Judgment. And of course, the people reading that go into a frenzy of excitement. But he's picked it all up from documents of this kind, not directly, but as these kinds went down over the centuries. That's a great ending. God will destroy all the servants of idols, meaning the foreigners, and all the evil ones, meaning the evil ones from our own people from off the earth. That is a beautiful hope for them, and it shows that they have a tremendous faith in God. And they're certainly not going to apply the Messianic prophecy to Vespasian. So if you want to call these Essenes, okay, but Essenes who don't apply Messianic prophecies to the foreign destroyers of Israel, Jerusalem, and the temple, then they would never do it. Do you see that? People who wrote these documents could never do that. Their tongue would stick to the roof of their mouth. Let me look at, there's my Psalm 37. I have two versions of it here. I'll quickly run through this. Ramesh, I have an old one here. You'll bring it up to a new date here. Let's look quickly at it. It parallels the Habakkuk Pesher. Psalm 37. Where is it? Oh, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, there it is. I think I'll find it here. Here it is. So it's about 4 columns. It's from K4. It's pretty messed up for that reason. Talks about those who love the Lord, so the same thing, the kingdom prepared for those who love Him. Picking up around line 7, do not be angry against man, perishing from famine and plague. I'm following Ramesh here. He may be wrong, but I don't have time to contradict him. 8 to 9, relent from anger. Interpreted, this concerns all those who return to the law, those who do not refuse to turn away from their evil. Also refers to being cut off again, a word we've been watching. Those who wait for the Lord shall possess the land. Remember, in the New Testament, in the Gospel of John, he says, why do you object if I ask him to wait for me, to tarry for me? And earlier, I think, at one point in the Habakkuk Pesher, the last times will be prolonged beyond anything anyone anticipates. Therefore, wait for them, tarry for them. It shall not delay, it says in column 7, I think, of the Habakkuk Pesher. Interpreted, the next one, this concerns the congregation of his elect. Well, we know who the elect are now, who do his will. Do. This is line 9 of the psalm. It's assembly of his elect. So you could say church of his elect who do his will. Finally, the next line, 10. This concerns the wicked. At the end of 40 years, they shall be blotted out. We heard about the 40 years also in the Damascus document between the gathering into the teacher and the walking of the lyre with the men of violence. But this goes on then to speak about the assembly or the congregation, the assembly of the poor again, the assembly of the Ebionites, the Ebinim, the assembly of the Ebinim. What? Document after document speaks about the assembly of the Ebinim in relation to this group. Ebinim. The followers of James are the Ebionites. This is the church of the Ebionites. Who shall accept the season in penance? 14 to 15. This concerns the wicked of Ephraim and Manasseh. That's been interpreted by people to mean Sadducees and Pharisees in the Herodian period. I don't know if that's the right one, but that's one possible way of looking at those. All this is code, as you see. Who shall seek to lay hands on the priest? There's the priest again. This is the righteous teacher priest, the leader of the Ebionim, the leader of the Ebionites. And well, that's why I wrote the whole James book. But God will redeem them from out of their hand, and afterwards they will be delivered into the hands of the violent ones of the Gentiles for judgment. So, I don't know how God will redeem them, probably at the last judgment. But they will be given over to the Aretze Goyim, it says. Aretze Goyim, the violent of the nations. Aretze Goyim. I think that is the violent Idumeans who take vengeance on these high priests and others who did this to this community. We have it in Josephus, what happened. And we know who did it, the violent of the Gentiles, the Idumeans. Line 18 to 19. So this parallels the Habakkuk commentary. And the handwriting is definitely first century, even according to the scholars. And it's only one copy of these things. To the penitents of the desert who shall live for 1,000 generations. Well, we know the penitents of the desert are the ones who are not the penitents of the wilderness. And we heard about how they're going to live for 1,000 generations, didn't we? Where was that? Damascus document twice. So all these documents hang together. They're all written at around the same time. One isn't written 3 centuries before the other. If you put this document in the 1st century, you have to put the Damascus document in the community rule in the 1st century. And the War Scroll, who talk about the penitents of the desert. Remember the penitents who went out into the desert? They're the priests. And they're going to live for 1,000 generations. No, guess what? All the glory of Adam shall be theirs. Well, we heard that in the Damascus document. The primal Adam ideology, probably, of the Ebionites. Where do we find the primal Adam ideology of the Ebionites? In the Pseudo-Clementines, in the recognition and the homilies. The 2 main doctrines of the Ebionites are the primal Adam ideology, the first Adam and the last Adam. It's an incarnationist ideology, and the true prophet. And both of these now are at Qumran, the true prophet in the Messianic proof text.